things just naturally happen. And I also think is whenever anyone has an idea, no matter how bad you think it is, to just go and do it, because you'll often be really surprised that it actually turns out to be really good.
This is the recordproduction.com interview. Today we're at Britannia Row Studios, and we've got James Loughrey here, whose name I've worked out how to pronounce now.
Yes.
Because you'd never guess that was how you pronounced it from looking at it.
No, no.
So, you're not from around these parts, are you?
No, not at all. No.
I gather you grew up in South Africa.
I did, yeah. Grew up over there, started working over there as well.
Right.
Yeah, in the city of Johannesburg. Used to do kind of all sorts of stuff there. Used to do kind of choirs, death metal, Zulu traditional music, all sorts. And then came over here. Wanted to, work with English bands.
Yeah.
And, do all
Were
that
you
kind
a
of
musician
thing.
before you got into studios?
I was a drummer in a thrash metal band.
Blimey.
Yeah, for my sins. Yeah. But,
and you stopped before you killed your ears?
I did, yeah.
So what was your breakthrough when you started engineering? What was your first engineering gig of note?
I think they had a demo studio which they used to do all the Warner Chappell publishing.
Oh, right.
So this band came in called Don, and I did all their demos, and then they went off to work with Mike Hedges.
Right.
And he listened to the demos and thought, well, these are amazing, let's get this guy over. So I went over to his studio in France.
Oh, brilliant.
And kind of worked on the records, and he put loads of strings on it, and that was like the first thing I ever did. It was very exciting.
It's exciting. And his old EMI desk.
On the old EMI desk, yeah. Had those big funny patch bays and everything. Yeah. So it was a bit confusing going from a proper studio to that environment, but it was great, Yeah,
he's quite idiosyncratic, isn't he? Like he hasn't got any big monitors, has he?
No. But the desk sounded great, and I remember just putting all the compressions on.
I did exactly the same thing. Yeah. I did a couple of days over there.
Listening back, thinking, probably a bit too much compression.
That's what I did. First time I played a multi-track on his desk, you sort of lift up those knobs and switch them on. And you go, wow, this sounds like the Beatles, sounds like Pink Floyd. This is brilliant. And you switch them all on, turn all the knobs up, and then you stop the tape and it goes shh, the noise floor, because you've just limited everything to some ridiculous amount. But great experience. Yeah, it was. Was he working on Pro Tools then?
Yeah, he was. Yeah, which I think was my first kind of insight to Pro Tools. I think we were tracking on. I think he had an A800 or an A80, and then we'd put it into Pro Tools.
Yeah. And
I think he was still using the 882s.
Yeah.
And I think he just got the 888s.
Right.
Very exciting. And we had autotune. That's the first time I saw autotune.
Oh, brilliant. You've worked with some other famous producers. Gordon Raphael, it says on your
Gordon
CV,
Raphael, yes.
What was that like?
I worked with him on a band.
Right. Were you tracking?
Yes, it was after he'd done the Strokes album. Yeah. And
where did you do that?
Actually, we did that in here. Actually,
right.
He came down here. He liked the studio because it was quite kind of small and simple. And he then got Logic up, and then we just tracked straight into Logic.
Brilliant.
Yeah, bypassing the Neves and everything,
just
going straight in. Everything as hot as it could possibly be, and that was an interesting experience. Yeah. I mean, I loved the Strokes album. I think it sounds.
Did he have any good miking tricks or ways of distorting things, or?
No, just pretty much everything as hot as it can get, and distorting.
Distorting?
Yeah. Can't really say that.
Yes, you can. It also says on here, you did some stuff on Page and Plant.
I did do some stuff on Page and Plant.
Did you work with Jimmy Page?
I did, yeah.
What was that like? What was he like as a producer?
That was very exciting. Actually, it was produced by Arnold Ertegun.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so that was very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did. It was.
Don't tell me it was here.
Yes, it was actually here. Yes, Britannia Row Studios. Yes. We did a tribute to Sun Records.
Oh, right.
And they came in, and it was all live. And I had Arnold Ertegun sitting next to me, this complete legend.
Wow.
It was absolutely fantastic. And then just going in, and Jimmy Page is playing guitar, and I'm putting a mic up in front of him, and he says to me, I'm not really very good at this.
What do you say?
I was like, yeah, don't worry, neither am I, but we'll get by, And then, going in, telling them to start, and just listening to them. And he was playing an acoustic guitar But he was doing all these kind of blues riffs, and it sounded like there was like 3 guitarists in the room.
Yeah.
Absolutely amazing. I couldn't believe it. And then, you know, Robert Plant starts singing. It's like, okay, it's my childhood. This is it. You know, absolutely brilliant. Yeah. Like one of the best things I'd ever worked on. Then, funnily enough, there's a video of it on YouTube.
Oh, really?
And it just surfaced like about 6 months ago.
Oh, right.
I couldn't believe it. A friend of mine sent me a link, and I was like watching it, and I was like, oh look, that's me. When you're working with someone like Jimmy Page and Robert Plant, you don't actually have to really say a lot. No, yeah. I think he just, you know, I think kept the room going.
Oh, did you ask questions while you were doing it? You said, do you want me to put big ambient mic up? Or?
Funnily enough for me, because they came in, I didn't really know what they wanted. You know, I just knew they were doing a tribute to some records. But as the session developed, I realised that they actually wanted it to sound like it was recorded back then at some studios. So by the end of the mix, I had everything going through the plate.
Yeah.
And that was it. The plate through the bow delay, and the whole session, and it sounded great, and they loved it. And it kind of sounded like it was recorded back then.
Brilliant.
So, you know, it was really good.
I never knew they had a bell delay at Sun Records.
They didn't have a bell delay. No.
Classic piece of output.
Yeah.
So you got any secret recording techniques that you're not going to tell us about? That you are going to tell us about?
I was thinking it's a bit of a shame that there isn't like a band in there or anything, because then I could show you some stuff.
Show some stuff, yeah.
But I can't.
Well, you can describe
I can describe.
What would you do? Where would you point the mic?
I think my favourite thing, I don't know where this came about, is I like to build a drum tunnel for the bass drum.
Right.
And I always do that, and if I can get 2 bass drums and whack them together, then I like doing that, because then you get this big, booming bass drum sound.
Yeah.
And then the whole thing with the NS10, that suddenly seems to, every studio you go now, there's an NS10.
Do you use that?
I do, yeah, it sounds great.
So how do you build your tunnel if there isn't another bass drum around? What do you put over?
Yeah, well, guitar cases.
Oh, right.
Yeah, if you get 2 guitar cases down the side, and then put something on top, something similar kind of thing, then you kind of get the feeling of depth.
Real depth.
Yeah.
And if you do have the bass drum thing, do you still have a mic in the first bass drum?
Yeah, I always put one at the front. I always get the old you know, D12 and stick that at the front, just to get the kind of the click.
So you'll have taken the front head off the...
No, still keep the front... Well, on the second bass drum it's got no skins on it.
No skins at all?
Yeah, so it's just acting as
tube.
like a tube, yeah. So then you just get this really big, nice, fat bass drum sound.
And you stick a mic at the front of the tube then, do you?
Yeah.
And what would you use for that?
I'd use a FET 47 for that, I think, pretty much.
Yeah.
That's what everyone does, doesn't it?
They've become really expensive now, haven't they, FET 47?
They have, yeah.
Suddenly, I think everyone thinks they're valve mics.
I always find it quite funny when you read things like Gear Sluts and they talk about all these mics, and then you think, well, someone goes, oh, I've got a FET 47, it sounds fantastic on vocals and all this, and then you think, well, I only ever use it on the bass and a bass drum. It's just like a really expensive bass drum mic, isn't it? Yeah. You know. And then I think maybe I should use it on vocals and things like that. But then you don't, because I think you have a lot of choice. So you kind of you reach for. But what I've been using a lot here is they've bought loads of really old mics from America, like Electro Voices and things and all that stuff, and that's really cool. So
Kate been on eBay every night this year.
I think, well, Jamie, who runs it, but because they've got loads of them, and you just kind of set the kit up, and you put loads of them in the room, and you bring the faders up, and some of them sound just really interesting. You know, so instead of having to use lots of EQ, you get like this kind of nice wacky filter sound, but without, I don't know. And if you use them, you use them. If you don't, because the nice thing about Pro Tools is you can have the tracks there, and if they sound great, they sound great. If they're not, then you just delete them. But as for tricks, I'm not sure. Don't know.
Come on, spill the beans.
I don't know. I think I've got a little trick for the old Glock.
All right.
Yeah, because I'm never satisfied about recording that.
How do you make it?
You mic it up and put it through an amp, and put some reverb on it, and it kind of gives it a bit more depth. Makes it, because they sound so small, don't they? And in the mix, everyone says turn up the Glock, put loads of reverb on it, and then you put loads of reverb on it. It doesn't really happens. put it through a mic, through an amp, and put the reverb on it, and that kind of opens it up, makes it sound dirty, and actually gives it some depth.
Now that's a good trick. I like that one. I'll be checking that later.
Oh, good, great.
I like that. Do you do it in real time? Do you have the...
Yeah, I just yeah.
Clock in the control room or in the...
Oh no, do it while recording.
So you'll be standing there with it coming out of a...
Yeah, because I also kind of like the fact that you've got the two sources. And I quite doing that with guitars, like acoustic guitars. If it's got a DI, you kind of get them to play in the room and plug it for an amp. And they don't even have to mic up the amp. But then you kind of get this kind of weird acousticy kind of, you know...
Another good trick.
Amp sound.
Yeah.
And also like with a big... you know, like the big Chet Atkins type guitar. It's you use that as an acoustic.
Yeah.
And just mic that up.
Right.
And it just sounds great.
Oh,
It doesn't really, you know, the acoustics, you get all that kind of funny top end on it, don't you? That when you do a mix, it just kind of flutters at the top. So if you do that, you get rid of all that stuff. You know, I think it sounds quite cool.
Cool.
Yeah. I think when you work with people, I like to get people to do stuff that's a bit funny and they'll remember as well.
Yeah.
You know, like
it's nice to have some tricks. Isn't it?
And they want to have a good time.
Yeah.
You know, I always like doing getting the band to do like backing vocals.
Yeah.
All at the same time.
Right.
Because then you just have a laugh.
Yeah.
And things like that.
Hand claps.
Hand claps are the best. Yeah. Lots of hand claps. And then you just put it in a cycle and go have a cup of tea.
And yeah, how do you produce? How do you get an artist to do what you want him to do?
Make them think it's their idea.
Is that a technique you've learned over the years?
I think the biggest thing that I ever learnt in working in studios is that you just have to get on with people, and you have to make people feel comfortable, and you just have to let people do their thing. And you know, you just sit there and you record them and you make them have a good time and you laugh and you have fun and things just naturally happen. And I also think is whenever anyone has an idea, no matter how bad you think it is, to just go and do it, because you'll often be really surprised that it actually turns out to be really good. And I think you just kind of just got to get on with people, you know. And I think when you work with bands, there's so many different dynamics as well, and everyone is different. And I was doing some mixing for a band the other day, and every time we finished the mix, the drummer would be like, "Oh, can I hear the drums a little bit more?" And the bass player, "Can I hear the bass a little bit more?" And you know, I know it's the old stereotype, but I think that, you know, you just turn around and go, "Well, no, you can't. Sorry," and it's kind of good fun. But they know you don't really mean it, you know, because that's just how it is. You're just you're connecting with people, aren't you?
So you turned everything up, and everyone was happy.
Turn it up. That's what you did at the end of the mix. Turn it on the big speaker. But I don't mind, because a lot of the time, actually, is that, especially when you're mixing, you have a sound in your head, don't you? And then at the end of the mix, sometimes if you just turn the drums up or something, suddenly the mix comes out of the pocket anyway. So I think it's quite nice. But I think it's just good to just, you know, let people try stuff out. You know, like if you're with a band in the studio and they're doing guitars, how cool is it that you're sitting here and trying out different amps and different things? And you know, I think that's where the fun is, I think, and the excitement of it. And then, you know, them trying things out with drums, you know, just trying things. Like often take the drums and turn them upside down and put tambourines on and things, and just, I think, just have fun and just, you know, what's the worst that can happen?
How do you sell yourself when people look at you get the email or the call? I say, well, we're thinking of working with you, but we don't like the snare sound on that record you did last week. What?
Yeah, I don't know.
What do you say?
What do I say? Well, I think when you meet people, I think that's the key thing is to meet someone before and just have a chat. And I think if you connect as people, I mean, I'm very open to what they want, and I think if they didn't like the snare sound on that record, well, I'm not going to get that snare sound on this record again anyway, am I? You know, it is what it is, and I'll do my best for that particular person. But I find what's quite interesting nowadays is the demise of record companies and things. Is I seem to be getting a lot of more work with people finding me, you know, individually, which I think is very cool. Whereas I think with the record companies, they'll use the same people, and if for some reason you're not in that kind of little loop, it's very difficult to get work. But I think nowadays a lot of people, because they're making records themselves and things like that, they look at an album and they go, oh, I like this, or they hear your name because you did something with someone else, and then they'll get on the phone, and then you can have a chat and you can come in and make a record. And I think that part is great. And I think, funnily enough, I think I've been a lot busier in the last few years than I ever have before, and I think it's because of those reasons. And I think everyone's going, oh, the music business is dying, and all that kind of stuff. But I think to me, because a lot more people are making their own records, I seem to be doing more work on the back of that, which I think is exciting. And because I can do a fair amount at home as well, you know, I can keep budgets down because I can do all the editing at home, do all that stuff.
Do you have a recording booth at all at home?
I don't, but I've got one of those SE Electronics microphone things, so I can do vocals at home, and they sound great. And I also find when I do vocals at home, I can have a real rapport with the person I'm working with, and there's no stress because we're not in a studio that's costing a lot of money, and if for some reason he can't sing that day, then the session's a bit ruined. So if it's not really happening, then you can do whatever you want. You don't have to worry about it too much. And then you finish it, and then I can edit together, you know, in my own home. I think that part of it's really cool. And also the mixing thing as well, like before coming in somewhere like this, I can mix it at home, and I can listen to it, and I can know what I like about it, and I can know what I'm worried about. Whereas I think when you come straight into a studio, put the faders up for the first time, you can be like, ooh, I'm not sure. Okay, you know.
Are you ever tempted, once you've done a mix somewhere like here, to then have a further fiddle at home so you can better it?
Constantly.
And do you better it sometimes at home?
If I leave somewhere like here and it's bugging me, then I'll mix it at home. But hopefully I'll leave somewhere like here and the mixes will be great.
Yeah, of course.
But I do stems and things like that, so I can put it together, because there's nothing worse if a mix doesn't sound right for something really silly that you know that you could correct. And you know, so I do a lot of that. Well, a fair amount when I need to.
Yeah.